This video is for lesson 25-3, angles formed by chords. Learning goals are to describe the relationship among angles formed by intersecting chords in a circle and use those angles to solve problems. First, let's create this theorem. When two chords intersect in the interior of a circle, then the measure of each angle formed is half the sum of the measures of the arcs intercepted and its vertical angle. We'll do an example to see what all these words mean. Here's our example. Let's say there's a circle and two chords intersect inside that circle. Here's one of the chords, and then here's another one intersecting that first chord. This theorem is talking about the measure of the angles created when these chords intersect. For example, the measure of this angle and this angle, or the measure of this angle and this angle. Now here's what the theorem is saying. The measure of these angles are going to be half the sum of the measures of the arcs intercepted by each angle. Let's say that this arc is 30 degrees and that this one over here is 110 degrees. Then the measure of each of these angles is going to be half the sum of those intercepted arcs. So 1/2 of 30 plus 110. 30 plus 110 is 140. Half of that is 70 degrees. We're saying that this angle is 70 and this angle is 70. Let's look at another example, number 8. In the figure below, we have some intersecting chords. Let's say that the measure of angle WAX is 60 degrees and that the measure of arc WX is 100 degrees. How much is arc YZ? Well, we can use our theorem. First of all, if these chords intersect, then this angle here is also 60 degrees. These are vertical angles. Our theorem says that the measure of those angles, 60 degrees, is equal to 1/2 the sum of the intercepted arcs. 100 plus this arc from Z to Y that we don't know. I'm going to put a lowercase x there. We could solve this equation to get our answer for x. Multiply by 2 on both sides to remove the 1/2, and then subtract 100 from both sides to get an answer for x. We find out that arc YZ is 20 degrees. Let's jump ahead to the check your understanding questions and try number 10. Use the figure below and our theorem from today to find out the following. Question A, if lowercase a is 40 degrees, let's label that, and lowercase b is 80 degrees, let's label that, then what's the measure of angle 1 and what's the measure of angle 2? Let's start by finding the measure of angle 1. The measure of that angle is equal to 1/2 the sum of the intercepted arcs. That's the 40 and the 80. 40 plus 80 is 120, and half of that is 60 degrees. Once we know angle 1, we can find angle 2. These create a straight line. If angle 1 is 60, then angle 2 is 120 because they have to add to 180 if they're along this straight chord. Now question B. Again, lowercase a is 40 degrees, but this time let's say that angle 1 is 65 degrees. Then how much is lowercase b? Let's use our theorem about intersecting chords create arcs. The measure of the angle where the chords intersect is equal to 1/2 the sum of the arcs. I don't know how much this is. Remember, it was lowercase b. Now let's solve the equation. Multiply by 2 on both sides to get 130 equals 40 plus b, and subtract 40 on both sides to find out that b is 90 degrees. We're also asked, what is the measure of arc GR? That's from here to here, plus the measure of arc NI. That's from here to here. Well, GN is 40, and RI we just found was 90. To find the sum of those other two, we could subtract the 40 and the 90 from a full circle, which would be 360. So 360, subtract the 40 plus 90, which was 130, will get us our answer, 230 degrees. To summarize this lesson, we were looking at the situation of two chords intersecting in a circle. As an example, here's a circle, here's one chord, and here's another chord. They intersect and create angles. Please understand that these don't have to be chords. They could extend outside the circle and be called secant lines, but that doesn't change the situation that you still create angles and you still create intercepted arcs. The theorem from today is that the measure of this angle or the measure of this angle, they are the same because they're vertical, can be found by taking half the sum of this arc and this arc.